October 16th, 2015, the outskirts of Rochester, New York. My first professional game. It was so cold. It was raining. We had an open flame heater in the booth. And really not helping me, I split my pants somewhere between the time I got out of the car and the time I got into the broadcast booth, which was outdoors in Rochester. John Harkes had to know this was my first game. I couldn't even say Cincinnati right, and I'm from Ohio.
Cincinnati, John Harkes, I'm Mike Watts. Thanks for tuning in for this one.
Half an hour before kickoff, I think he recognized it. He pointed around his tactical lineups, players he liked, matchups he thought were interesting. In hindsight, my career could have hit the skids game one if he hadn't taken that moment. And really interesting, after the game, were players milling around, and he started kicking a ball around, and I don't think the kids' parents had any idea that John had played in a World Cup.
That's a good effort. Oh, what a tremendous goal by John Harkes. His first ever in English football, and one he'll remember for the rest of his days.
Before the game, our sideline reporter, Heather Prusak, talked to Ari Lassiter. We kind of felt like this was the page-turning second generation of professional players in the modern American soccer, and his dad had held the MLS single-season scoring record for nearly 2 decades.
Opportunities in front of the net.
I gotta ask, is Dad gonna be watching tonight?
Definitely, he'll definitely be tuning in tonight.
All right, well, thanks, Ari.
He'd score the opening goal in that game. To me, it felt like a metaphorical torch being passed.
And a great second follow-up there from Ari Lassiter.
Early in the telecast, John had described Clement Diop, this young French goalkeeper, as having athleticism reminiscent of a young Tim Howard. So imagine our shock. He goes down injured in extra time, and Ben Sneddon comes in. You're talking about a teenager, had never played in a professional game. This is the biggest curveball a soccer match can throw at you. And personally, it felt like he was living the same moment that I was living. So I was really empathetic to his situation in that game. Let's go back to how we actually got to extra time. And years later, I talked to Bob Lilly about this final, and he told me about trying to keep Asani Samuel's confidence up. He was typical of a Bob Lilly player, an Arena League guy who wasn't highly touted, just really effective. And they'd taken to calling him Big Game Asani in the weeks leading up to the match to try and keep his confidence high.
And it's Samuels. Asani Samuels came in as a sub. Terrific ball in the box. And he just gets across the front of Diop. Comes for this ball. Great header.
I don't think anybody could have imagined the kind of impact, the role Asani Samuels would have in a championship final. It was one of the craziest performances I'd ever seen.
Forbes, headed, it's in! Rochester has the lead, and again, it's Samuels. Full time, the Rochester Rhinos are the 2015 USL champions.
It's my pleasure to announce tonight's MVP, Mr. Asani Samuels.
The adrenaline at the end of that game, for me, was euphoric. Added time game winner, first professional game, awarding a trophy, my first real shot to impress people on a big stage. It was spectacular. I'll never forget it.